Good evening, folks, and welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 463, and tonight is going to be theme oriented. And we're going to be discussing FMA during COVID and post COVID. Has there been changes? Have those changes been for the good, bad? These are the things we're going to talk about tonight. And has it FMA overall grown through this time period? What took place during COVID? And we'll talk about some of the online stuff that took place and so forth. And tonight, joining me is Dr. Tim and Ty Bonnie. Now, this is not going to be bio related. If you want to get more insight on their bios, I would reference episodes 83 with Dr. Tim, which seems so long ago, and PJ Ty is episode 221. So check those out if you really want to get some in depth on their bio. Again, tonight's going to be more theme related. And so without further ado, here we go. And we have, and I'm just looking, there we go.
Good evening.
How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
So we got the FMA Pulse doing a hostile takeover FMA discussion.
FMA Pulse, who was that?
Oh, FMA Talk. Oh my God.
We're going to sneak out in a second.
Sorry. FMA Talk. So how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, I guess we're supposed to get some weather, but tonight, are you getting slammed up in Buffalo, or will you be getting slammed in Buffalo?
Nope.
Oh, it's bypassing you then.
All right.
Okay. So, yes, folks, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. So, COVID. So, I thought we could just kind of have a round table. You guys have been here before, so it's going to be open-ended, and we'll just see where this kind of goes there. I got a few bullet points, but so PJ Ty, what did you FMA during COVID? What were your observations?
Well, it enabled a lot of things. People had to figure out what they were going to do to keep things going, right? So I, like everybody else, started doing some online classes, and then also just general purpose kind of sharing material for my people initially, and then for large audiences. And I think a lot of people ended up doing that. That's the long and that's the short of it, right? I mean, that's pretty common.
Yeah, that was for sure. Like particularly for folks who had like up and running schools. I mean, I obviously empathetic to some of them what they went through, and I guess who jumped on the Zoom sooner than later. I guess quote unquote made it or better shape financially as opposed to those who didn't in there. But Dr. Tim, you're same thing. What do you your observations during the COVID FMA?
Well, it was a sink or swim situation. I had already been doing virtual classes prior to that. So for me, it wasn't whether we were going to do it, it was which platform. And we were fine. And then my goal was to get back to live as fast as possible. I think because of the situation and we were all having nothing, well, we couldn't leave our homes. We're all in lockdown. I think a lot of people reached out and started doing joint ventures on the internet. But as we know, I am the skeptic. It's my job. And when I say this, I always hope for the best of things, but I've had so much negativity in my life, and people have disappointed me time and time again. I always have, I'm worried, and my question, I think I've told you guys, we may have been all in the same storm, but we were all in different boats, and a lot of the boats pulled together. But the question was, were they pulling together to help each other or to scavenge each other? And
good point. Like, was it for their self-benefit to get through this time, or was it genuine?
And I think a lot of people listen. And the thing is, you can't be honest with people if you're not honest with yourself. And I think a lot of people may have thought that they had good intentions. Some people out there, I think, they saw an opportunity of making money in a different platform, and I think we're better and worse all at the same time. But this is the beginning of the conversation, though. I don't want to dig deep into that right away.
No. I think it was interesting observation you made again, as far as, some folks that were pulling together, what was their true intentions, you know what I mean? And are you still seeing that now, you know what I mean? As far as what you're referencing. So, anything on that you want to piggyback off, Time?
I was going to add on the positive side, at least I think right after it was all lockdown for everybody across the board. That's when my normal spring fling was supposed to happen, right? So I ended up doing that online, and that worked out really well. Plus, I was able to bring some people in from different parts of the country as opposed to just locally. So that was people coming together and not making money, and because we're just trying to share and basically celebrate our love for the FMA, and that came together really, really nice. I thought it worked really, really well. And we did a couple of those. That was a lot of work, though. It was a lot more work, for sure.
Oh, I'm doing it online?
Oh yeah, as trying to set everybody's schedule up and introduce and have the headers up for each one. I'm not it's not my bailiwick, but I thought it went really well, especially as a first try. I might have been the first guy that did a multi-style one.
I think you were.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, wow, I didn't realize that. So, yeah, like you instead of having, so you did it online. Like, how long did it last?
It was the whole day.
I was gonna say, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had what, like 10 presenters at least?
Yeah, 10 or 12. No, one person didn't make it, and then there's a little bit of Filipino time happening, just to be horrible about things. But a little bit of a schedule creep. But yeah, we went from morning till mid-afternoon. It was
to be fair, for the ones that there was some technical difficulty.
There was, yeah,
on the not on Ty's side.
Right.
Well, I mean, Bruce Chu, he ended up logging out because his phone overheated.
He was having phone difficulties, which is always trouble. Sometimes on these things it's trouble. But I was able to have somebody way down south there. I had someone across in California. That was Sabrina Bershad. It was good, and people that hadn't participated before. So anyway, that's the good side of things, I thought, and I thought it was. I was hoping to see more of that. It's hard to engineer though, for sure.
Yeah, like it's one thing doing a couple guys,
right?
But you doing a whole event like that, man, that could not be. That must not have been easy.
It was challenging. It was because it was new though. The first time you do something, even though it's really hard, you get all energized and you just go in and do it. So that was good.
I would have an anxiety attack.
That was later.
Yeah, that would have been way too much for me. Wow. And so, what do you think has changed, Dr. Tim? Okay, so we kind of covered what was going on during COVID, the need to obviously jump on Zoom, particularly if you're running a school and you have financial obligations to meet. It's one thing with me. I do this part time. I'm certainly don't rely on this for income, thank God. But for the folks that do, extreme empathy for those challenges and whatnot. But like yourself, you had already been, doing Zoom and online stuff, but there were a lot of folks that had not, and this was a completely new arena for them. And some of them jumped on and were doing it late and maybe a little too late, hence their 30% of closures and et cetera on that. So did you have folks reach out to you like for suggestions, help, knowing that you've been doing it for some time and kind of a trendsetter, if you will?
I don't think so. I think people compared notes on what platform they were using.
Okay.
But so I've been okay. Well, I've been on these shows a bunch of times. I'm very proactive with my advice. I'm not reactive. So when we talk about these things, a lot of times I'm talking to people, telling them ahead of time, not like, hey, let's look at a couple things here. I'm trying to figure out my lighting here. It's all jacked up today. My thing has become a disco ball. so I've given a lot of advice, and people were watching like FMA professionals and FMA talk, and I mean, I was doing all this stuff the whole time. So and I've been very, I did a thing on how to use Canva, and so I think a lot of people were listening and seeing what I was doing. A lot of people hopped on Zoom. I didn't want to do Zoom because it was one. I already had Google Meet. I didn't. Why would I hop on another platform? And then give a whole another company access to my stuff. Because when every time you connect to somewhere and there's somebody who's got access to your information through the computer. But yeah, I just I think people were just watching what I was doing and then taking notes from there. There wasn't a lot of people aggressively. Our network talked amongst ourselves. What are you doing? How do you do it? So inside the organization,
within, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that I was like, here, guys, here, log in here, and once again, so for people who are out there, even if you continue to do this stuff, I am so Google Meet. Google Meet, there is no software needed to be downloaded, and if you've got an Android, you have to have Google.
Correct.
You have to have a Gmail account, and it's part of Google Meet was Google Chat, or the chat inside there, and I've got the upgraded account, but so I can record and do all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I already had this stuff, so I just leveled up my and amongst ourselves, we talked about what's the best for all of us, and people made their own decision. Everyone had their issues, but the nice thing about Google Meet is you give people a link. You don't have to download anything into their phones or the computers, and So and I still use it to this day because I do my events. I do hybrid events where I do a physical seminar at my school, and I'll have a bunch of virtual attendees or people who can't attend live, but they want a recording of the event. I just did a Balloons Walk this one training this weekend. I had a whole bunch of people that knew ahead of time that they couldn't show up live, but they purchased it and they've got the seminar that they can play back anytime they want.
Yeah. Google Meet. We're here.
So internally, we all just talked about. I just told everybody what I told everybody what we're doing. You can do whatever you want, but this is this is what I use. If you're going to communicate, and I was the one doing classes. I mean, Ty and I and our senior board, we started doing a weekly class, and it was a meeting. Then it turned to bi-weekly, and we still do the meetings. We don't always do them as often as we would like, but life gets in our way, and we can do what we can. So.
Sure, yeah, and no, it's definitely my lens is on a part-time basis, and I didn't jump on it right away. It was just something that came about, and I started doing it. But if I recall correctly, Ty, I think it was Jack Latour who started doing the joint online seminars. If I'm correct, I think he was one of the guys that started doing that. I think anyhow.
I'm pretty sure he was the one that started that trend.
I thought so. Yeah, I think you're right. And I'm just getting all right. We got Andres. We got Mosey Jack. We got Rich Parsons. We got Chris Nolly. We got Renee. Jensen Tim. We got Terrell. Kurt from Alaska. Renee. I remember the first Zoom classes called Thailand. We got Jay from Hawaii. Google Meet as a higher default for video than Teams or Zoom. Okay, Google Meet. Jim Unio, God bless to all you guys. Stay safe, everybody. All right, thank you.
Jim Unio.
Yeah, nice. So, okay, what's changed? So, what do you see as far as changes, PG Ty? Any changes?
Changes. Well, actually, I was going to get into so I didn't do.
Or get into something else before you want to go into it. I'm sorry.
No, changes will be good. It's getting there. It's funny though. So let me get there real fast. So the I didn't do really online live courses. All they did, I was trickling out, one or two or three videos every once in a while. But this, being locked in and going stir crazy really got me on the ball to try to understand that better. And so I ended up doing, 20 or so lessons per year or season during COVID because of that. But that really made me up my editing skills, up my production skills, up my planning, what the content was going to be and getting the length right. All that stuff that I wouldn't have got to nearly as fast if I hadn't had been, kind of glommed all together. So it all happened at once. If it happened over years while I was trickling out more and more, that would have been pretty messy. On the other hand, the change part of that is that while COVID was doing that, I was pretty regular getting things out. And now that COVID is not locked us all down, the rest of life comes back, and I haven't been producing nearly as much. So everybody, please go check out the channel and and let me know what else you want to see, and I'm happy to start back up again. But I'm laughing at myself because there's plenty to do. It's just organizing time because there's not the fist of COVID hanging over us, making us do that.
Yeah, like back to like what Jack started and what other folks started doing and all that. Like I saw a real, I mean, like it was the most ever cross training I saw folks doing. Like, you know what I mean? I saw folks jumping into things and I really believe they probably would not have done that if it were not for that. Right. One, the accessible means, and two, people tend to stay in their own wheelhouse. And that, but definitely saw a ton of that cross training, and so I think Jack, deserves a lot of credit for what he did there, in that. And the other thing is too, the meeting of people during that time. You know what I mean? Like, you might be in a class with somebody, and then you get to talking outside of that, or maybe it was a joint seminar. I know for myself during that time, I've just met a ton of people. Well, I mean, a good chunk of that was due to the show, of course, but some of it did come through the lens of the online seminars and the Zoom classes as well. So I thought a lot of cross-pollination, generally speaking.
Wasn't the Carenza project that around that same time too? Or is that before COVID? I can't remember.
Actually started the Carenza project during the lockdown.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And that helped people come together too, I think. Plus, even if you didn't want to do a teaching thing, right, it got you out there and you're interacting and exchanging, which was great to see, actually. That's right along the lines of stuff I do my gathering.
I thought it was something really, really, I thought that was a really great thing he did. And I hope it, I haven't heard much more. I hope it's still going. I'm not. Morgan, you got your comment in here 4 times, buddy.
Probably a different medium.
But any right. So Dr. Tim, so what's changed?
Well, I think on one level or another, I think it flooded the market too much.
That's a good point. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, okay, everyone does Zoom. Everyone's doing Zoom or whatever, virtual. And people are pushing out so much content. They're over. I don't think people understand scale or business. And when you start doing this and charging money for it, you have to understand that aspect. If you're donating your time, then what I'm about to say means absolutely nothing. When I taught out in my backyard, when I taught about my church, we only collected fees to take care of the expenses. I mean, I didn't charge in my property, but when I was teaching in my church, I had to pay the church monthly to use the facility. So that's why I charged money. I didn't give a shit. I had a day job, I mean, that was, so, but when I would charge money, I would try to, like when I did certain things like seminars, I tried to do whatever the industry standard was, because I didn't want to undercut or upset the scale of things, and some people had just saturated where they're doing like 3 seminars a week. And I'm like, okay, how about, you dial that down a little, do it less often, and then get more attendees every time you do something. But now you got people who are just, anyone who's got a phone can do a class, and some of these people shouldn't be doing it.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, now you're seeing it. It's pretty widespread. I think some of it's gone down. I think. Obviously, some people are still doing it and are going to continue to do it. It's not going away. But the same point you meant, like saturated the market, like where people maybe are doing this, that maybe shouldn't. Like the one thing I can say is it definitely improved my teaching because obviously you got to be really in detail, like what you're explaining, because you got somebody, across from, on the camera. But, I could definitely see the aspect of like the saturation of it and maybe people doing it because they're just doing it so means of money that maybe shouldn't have been doing it, but I don't know if that's my place to say or anybody's place, but
I just said it. I mean, so you listen. I'll be the bad. Listen, I got broad
no,
shoulders.
I'm not saying
So
you'd be
here's
a
what I
bad
go.
guy.
And this is my. So I'm going to the Philippines next week. I'll be there. And as I tell everybody, I go there for cultural, not for technical. Okay, I can put all my classes together that I've learned over there, and it doesn't merit one trip. But the thing here is, I don't go to learn it because the head of the system was here. I mean, look who's here in the States. Bobby Tabuada.
Yeah.
Leo Heron was here. Angel Cabales was here. Remy Praces. Ernesto Praces practically lived here. That was an easy one. He'd be here for quite a long time. Ted Buat, Anshan's top student, you look at all the Doce Paras grandmasters, and that's just that. I mean, the best country in the world to live in, if you're doing martial arts, is the States, because almost every style is represented here. Now, or at least family of the style. Now, if you want to work with someone specific, you want to do Riddell DeGuck's program, there's only 2 schools in the States that offer it. And if that doesn't work for you, then you got to go to the Philippines to see him. We lost time. So there's a whole bunch of individuals. Just say, well, I want to work with this person. That's different than wanting to work a style. I have access to Piper and Medusa here. Well, hell, Medusa's only an hour away from me, and they're up in New York.
Mike Raymond.
Yeah. So look, I can do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I can do Cup. I can do. There's so many different systems of martial arts I can do here, and I never have to leave the U.S.
That's a good point.
So, and when we go to the Philippines, a lot of people go there, and you've got a bunch of people who are always trying to take advantage of the tourists, whether it's vendors trying to sell goods and overpriced, or people who are not qualified to teach martial arts playing on their race, and they can swing a stick better than anyone else, but they don't. That doesn't mean they're good. They can just swing the stick.
Or they're good at teaching online.
well, there's a whole bunch of them then started the online classes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people should never be teaching anyone. But once again, they're there to try to take advantage of the American tourist. And now they've taken it up a level to put it online. Yeah. So, and then there's some very talented people who are atrocious teachers and seminars. And like I said, I think you got those people out there taking advantage. And I'm just so over the virtual seminars. And once again, well, Tim, you do this. I go, no, I do a physical seminar, and some people attend virtually when they can. I do weekly classes. Twice a week I have classes, hybrid. I teach people in the school, and I have about 5 people who are nationally and internationally who log in to attend my classes. And it's great. It's great reach. I've got a guy in Germany who does really good. I've got guys in Sweden and Austria that do very well. I got Canadians coming down, and they just can't make it. But we also make a point sooner or later to cross hands. The guy in Germany, we were all down in Barbados together, and that was a week of doing that and other things. So I'm very sick of all these other people. Well, and there's even quality people out there. But stop doing the virtual. Start teaching a physical. Because a lot of times, all they're doing is standing there by themselves. They might as well teach kata. You don't have a body in front of you.
I know.
I'm just so. It's time to get back on the mats and get off the television.
Which we're going to get into. Yeah.
Who physically can't do it, the international, there's the good part. We have the reach that we can reach out to other countries. But I'll say right here, you know what it really annoys the hell out of me? Every time I see Bill McGrath do these cross-pollination things of this, that, and the other thing, why not do a physical seminar? Why not do a physical seminar and also have virtual attendees?
We're doing a physical one in first weekend there and at the Blade Show. So, but yeah.
And I know you listen, and some of my classes are all virtual. There's no one physical, just basically.
Yeah, but I like, you know what? I've adapted. I like your idea of the cross, where you're running it. In other words, the last 2 Blade Tech seminars I did, they were online, but I had physical students there as well. They were local, and I really like that.
Even when we did the doubleheader, you had people with you.
Yeah.
I mean, some people don't even have an okay. I mean, come on, stop that.
Yeah, if you're doing online and you're doing yeah.
You don't want to lecture. Get someone doing something.
No, if you're doing a seminar, having somebody for sure. Like I understand that. Unless you just don't need somebody if you're showing, like a basic level stuff or what have you. You know what I mean? But
if the material needs to be applied to a body,
yeah.
Now, like I said, if you have katas you're doing, or forms, or sayals, or anyos, hey, I don't care. That's good. If you're doing exercise drills you can do on like your amaras and stuff like that all day long. But anytime I have to lay hands on somebody, I want a body that I can lay hands on. And it's rough. I mean, and I just when it's just because hey, listen, I'm going through this, and like not everyone can visualize a body there.
Yeah, at least have a bob in absence of a body. I mean, yeah.
Well, when Ty did that event, what did I do? I took a bob, I threw a T-shirt on him, I put a staff through the back sleeve so I had an arm. I did a bunch of stuff, but then Janice happened to walk by. I go, hey, Janice, come here. And then I showed a technique on Janice.
Yeah.
And listen, and I'm not saying anything negative about these guys.
I know, I get you.
What I'm saying is enough's enough. You really should, if that's what they want to do. But the thing here is this. I know that people get customer satisfaction for my events. And I also know that some people have gone to some of these other events where it's just one person teaching and they're done with it. And some of those names I have not mentioned yet.
I got you. And I'm just catching up here in the comments, guys. Hold on. Then we'll get PGA Ty's input. There's something to be said of first seminar that has information available for those who came. They put the time, effort, and money into learning something special in person. And then when I train with someone, I see them doing something I've never seen before on the new application. I ask them, where did you learn that? And I give that person opportunity to teach me something that is going, okay. Is there really a benefit to virtual? Direct contact is great. Yeah, sure. But I think, Mike, it's a great supplemental in the absence of something. Of course, yeah, you're going to have to get hands-on. But I do, depending on where you're at your level, I think it could be a great supplemental. PG Ty, what would you like to add to Datu's slight rant?
Well, actually, so I think that at some point it has to be felt, and it has to be felt in both directions. You don't get those adjustments that you need, that the teacher needs to see and feel, or that you need to see and feel without getting it done to you. One of the best things we always talk about training with Remy was if we were his dummy to be used, Suzuki, right? We learned the most from that. You're not going to get that from virtual. You can't. Virtual, on the other hand, I think is great for an introduction or like a survey study, right? Or going through the motions, but you're not going to get the details, no matter how good you are, unless maybe perhaps it's review, right? Virtual will be a great way to review and walk you through things if it's stuff that you're already supposed to know, nice reminders, things like that, and we do that kind of stuff. So I'm a big fan of contact. It has to be felt, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on that no matter how good of an explainerizer you are, you're really not going to connect viscerally. There's a reason for that word, viscerally, with the people correctly, unless you have that contact. So I think ultimately it has to happen. At what stage and when and how often, that's up to the the student, the teacher.
Yeah, depending on the style and requirements and levels and et cetera, and how much information you came in with, their background.
Here's something to tie in with Ty. You know, we're talking about feeling like I get people like our one guy, Chad, who can't always attend. He's attended all my stuff and probably seen most of what I teach, but he likes dialing in also for my descriptions and my explanations. So it's like, all right, I've got the physical end dialed in as much as I can. Tell me more, and maybe I'll look at things like, hey, that was a great way you said this. I like it, and now I've noticed an increase of how I do something because you said something to me. So it's not always just the physical thing; it is the verbal. But he's tying that in to physical training he's already done. So a lot of times I will go to like, okay, I will listen to seminars that I've attended, and I'll put it on. I might be doing some stuff, and I'll play it in the window to the right of me, and then they say, "Here we go," like this, and I'll keep watching stuff. But I listen. It's like, all right, at a seminar, you get sensory overload at times. There's so much stuff that's going on, and you're focusing on the physical. You may have missed a phrase, so I'll listen to the seminar later. Like, I didn't hear him say that. I may not have been part of the room. Someone may have distracted. I may have went to the washroom, whatever. So there's a lot of good things for this, but this is a supplemental, not a substitution for hands-on training.
Yeah. No, agreed. And we got Mike's in and Chris Chu. Evening. All right. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
All right. What are we at? Okay. Overall FMA status. Okay. Any improvement during the COVID, however long the lockdown was? Any improvements there? Like, it could be anything. You know, would you see improve besides some of the things we identified? Anything?
Who do you want to say
Oh,
first?
I'm sorry. PGA Ty. I'm sorry.
So I mean, the coming together part was awesome to see, and I think there's still leftovers for that. So that is, I think, an improvement. It's kind of there's a trade-off, right? So there's a big hit to everybody's activities, right? So it's hard to say what if there's an overall or absolute improvement. But I think the connections that people made and were forced to make, I think that has some lasting benefit. And I think that people realize that hey, stuff doesn't come to you, and you have to reach out and you have to put yourself out there. That part's good. And then you have to interact with your peers, even if they're doing things differently or different styles, or maybe even antithetical. It's still beneficial to have those interactions for not only for your students, but also for yourself and also your way of presenting material, right? Connecting to people. You don't know what necessarily other people's backgrounds are. So the more you see, the better a teacher you can be when you interact with those. So I think that kind of exposure has been a good thing. As far as, overall, is FMA getting better, more exposure, more options? I would say that, so we talked about a second ago, kind of flooding the market with everybody's online offerings. I would say there's a benefit to that is that now people who might be interested, if they can do the work, can shop around, right? They can shop around and see what they like and who they like and what kind of presentation and interaction fits them best if they have to do it that way or supplement that way. If it was just few and far between, there's no choices, right? So, and that would also hopefully have the lasting benefit of maybe helping weed out the ones that maybe need to be getting a little more polished, and keep the people going that are already rock stars, right? Because they get
they're doing it well and conveying their information really well, and they're getting good recommendations, and obviously reputation is, I'm sure, goes and coincides with that being really good. But yeah, definitely on the free market aspect, right? Datu?
Well, I think a couple things happened. I think a lot of people may have gotten a better appreciation for some of the other styles out there, because with nothing going on, I think they may have actually hopped in on some people's or was invited.
I think always love both. Yeah.
I mean, I've known Paulo, as an example. I knew Paulo for a long time. I go, hey, Paulo, do me a favor. Hop in and audit my kickboxing or my Panatukan program, one of my modules. Okay. And I got huge kudos from him. And it's like initially he goes, "Oh, what do you mean this is 2 hours long?" And then after he's like, "Dude, that was him and his son." I'm like, "That was the fastest 2 hours I ever saw." I mean, and he liked he just said nothing but good things. And I think a lot of people looked and maybe have gotten a better appreciation for others by watching things, and and you could do it from the safety of your home.
Convenient.
And then you don't have to go out in public and be seen, and someone saying, "Oh, well, what are you doing attending the seminar?" And so hold on.
Yeah, like you're like betrayal. You know what I mean? Like like kind of. I could see that. Huh? That's
But
interesting.
I think, and I think there was some honest friendships and affiliations.
Oh, I can agree with that for sure.
But I think in some ways it's gotten worse since.
We're gonna cover what's regressed. Yeah, and
but I think some good stuff came out of it.
I think so. Yeah.
I just like I said, I think a lot of people are just at that place where, well, like I said, you can't be honest with others if you're not as honest with yourself. And like I said, I'm hoping that we had a lot of good stuff where people get to see stuff and go, all right, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, and blah blah blah. And I've talked to a bunch of people even over the years. They said they're like, I didn't really understand your art, but now that you get to see you do it, Tim, it makes so much more sense. Not just to doing it, but what you're talking about and stuff. And, and people listen. Like as an example, this is a good thing. After people watch what I've done, they're like, "Geez, I didn't really think much of Modern East." I'm like, "Well, we do a lot of stuff that you guys do." I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, professor was good." And yeah, they always thought well of the professor,
sure,
but they didn't think much of the program. And then that's when I was able to say, well, here's the problem. You got a lot of people who do the art within your art, which means they took portions and added to what they were already doing, which might not be bad martial arts, but may not be good Filipino martial arts or good
or what they were expecting from a pure Filipino land.
Yeah, I mean, listen, okay, you've grappled, you take whatever, and I know you do Brazilian, but not to say that's. I mean, I've been doing Brazilians for years. And I adapt some of the stuff into some of the stuff I do, but I, by no means, is a good representation of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes,
I took a few pieces of it, and I'm upfront about it. And unfortunately, in Modern East, there's some misunderstandings by people watching, as well as misunderstandings by people who are actually participating in the art. And when you get what Remy actually taught, it's a badass system. But unfortunately, the phrase of art within your art was a good marketing thing.
But I tell you though, when I did the series, one of the conclusions is I think that also is what's been haunting.
Yeah. Well, the thing here is the problem is they didn't have the term. It was someone wrote an article and they go, "Oh, Modern East and art within your art," and Remy saw it, ran with it, because Remy didn't write that up. He didn't have the linguistic skills to say that. Not when the article was written. It was back in the 70s.
It's a long time ago.
Maybe 81, I think it was. Got it it's actually on my table at the school right now. And I'm not trying to, and not trying to say anything negative, but it's like, there's a lot of things when you see these quotes from Remy Pracis and who is it? What's that guy that puts all these quotes? Bodai something or another?
Who's that?
Ty knows what I'm talking about.
There's a bunch of hoo-ha brouhaha around him. Bodhi, whatever, Sounders.
Yeah, and he puts out these quotes on everybody. He puts a picture of somebody and said, Bruce Lee said this, and he says all this stuff that Remy, and I'm like looking at all this stuff. I go, no, Remy wouldn't have said that. Remy would be like, Tim, if they do not listen to you, you will fuck them up. That would be something Remy would say, not this eloquent thing that he wrote. And I'm like, okay, and even so there's a lot of unfortunately Really what the word would have been, you're cross-training, which means you're also cross-ranking. If you use that terminology, people wouldn't have misunderstood, but it was a marketing thing. And I actually had to write a letter though on the test for black belt, the art, what's the art within your art? And I go, I went to the camp host. You go, I could never fill this out. He goes, why, Tim? I go, where did I start? Oh, that's right. This is what you do. You know, and I'm like, yeah, it's not the art within my art. It's the art. I do what Remy teaches. So during COVID, well, actually some other things too, but prior to COVID, but really during COVID, I think that got me a lot more exposure to people that normally wouldn't have looked because they had a lot of other things going on in their life.
No, definitely. I mean, again, I think there was I don't want to say compelling factors, but definitely people took a look at things and jumped into things that I believe they normally would not have by virtue of the situation. You know, another good thing that came out, and I'm going to swing over to Ty. I think it also from instructors. I think I think there was an easement or how can I articulate this? An accepting of their students jumping into other things, because during the time off, they could maybe not fulfill their training. So I think there was an indirect letting go, so to speak, for those who maybe were more controlling. I want to be careful with this because I'm not saying anybody that I know, but again, I think what that might have been, that initial reluctance was, hey, during the situation, some of my students are cross-training with other people online because it's convenient. You know what I mean? And I think some of them are still doing that, which I think is great to broaden their horizons and all that. But I think that's all. I think that was also relevant during COVID, and I think it's good because the student being the most important piece of the puzzle that I've always mentioning, that kind of also got solidified during that with those who chose to do other things from the comfort of their house and the time off, And PJ Ty, what say you?
Yeah, maybe. I think that maybe some schools, some teachers are less or more open to that in general. But I think there was some recognition that, hey, you got to keep going. I have a million sayings, so I'm going to throw that one down here.
Yeah, not being selfish,
Right. But one saying that applies is, what's the best art for you? What is the best art for you? The one that you will do and keep on doing. That's the best art for you. I don't care if there's another art that you want to do and you can't do it. That's not the best one for you. Yeah. So in that vein, if you have opportunities, and that's the only opportunity you have, as long as you're doing something that has some merit, or you can find the merit in and keep doing it,
yeah,
that's good for you right then and there, and maybe going forward. So maybe, yeah, I'm not so familiar with that, although I know that with my Kung Fu background, right, a lot of Kung Fu styles are very closed. Mine wasn't. But there's always that kind of, I think it's born out of fear, right? Fear of losing students, fear of maybe
definitely, absolutely
control the narrative. Or there's probably a less negative fear, which is, hey, if they start moving in a way that's antithetical to what I need to get them to move, that happens a lot in internal arts. If you start moving wrong for internal art generation, that's going to set you back. And it seems esoteric. Maybe it is. I can show you in person, but so there could be some of that. You wouldn't want people to take a step back. However, again, with eyes wide open and being smart humans, I think everyone should hopefully realize that there's more to gain from training than to not train with your eyes closed and your blinders on.
Yeah, waiting for things to get back to normal when you could have had opportunity. There is a selfish aspect to that, though. Like, if I'm assuming the instructor was not letting his students do other things or kind of forbid it, my students would tell you, they're more some people. It's not indentured servitude. Right. I don't own you, and your journey is more important than me. So besides the oversaturation of the Zoom market, what are your thoughts on the amount of online content post-COVID? Datu?
Well, first, on that last topic, because I wrote this down.
Okay.
I just want to sit there and say one thing.
Sure.
Who the hell are we to tell our students what not to do?
100%. No argument here.
You know, I mean, right off the bat, anyone who says that they can't, okay, if it's like belonging to multiple gyms. Yes, Ty is right.
Yeah.
If we're open with people, say, hey, listen, that footwork doesn't work well for it. I'll tell you as a good example. I would tell people, like Pikiti. Pikiti has a completely, I mean, we do the same thing, but the flavor is completely different on their footwork. That would be hard to do both arts at the same time. Not impossible. And I would explain to them that. I go, you do what you want, but realize that I'm just letting you know, hey, if you can train as many arts as you want, but it may become a barrier for some of the things we're going to run into in the future because of conflicting concepts and strategies, footwork, and stuff of that nature. But at the end of the day, if someone wants to learn my system and they are, and I don't think they're a knucklehead, and they're not going to misuse what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach everybody out there. I'm going to teach everybody out there. You know, fortunately, the systems that I teach are fairly cohesive. Modern is my core. What's an art that led into modern? Okay, Kombatan. Or not Kombatan, I'm sorry, Balintawak. What's the art that grew out of that? Kombatan. What's another art that affected this? Cordon Remy, Sikran, and Kuntao. And I'm just talking the Filipino arts. Oh, well, actually, we can say small circuit jiu-jitsu, which I'm not certified, but I attended a lot of events with Wally J to fine-tune some of the things I was going to do. But at the end of the day, who are we to tell anyone they can't? We're a bunch of grown-ass adults. And the first time you can't do that, I go, what are you saying? If you train with them, you'll have to quit here. Am I paying you for a service? Yes. Are you saying that you don't want my money?
I know. No. Think about that.
You don't. I mean, if you don't want it, I get it. And listen, if you're that way, that's fine. But you know, loyalty has to be earned, and it's a two-way street. You know, and and the other thing too is who knows the art that you really are meant to do. You know, a lot of people just find the first thing that's near them and do that and then quit. You know, but I just this notion. I mean, no one would fault you to go into multiple grocery stores or multiple restaurants or multiple dance.
Yeah, find different food, right? There you go.
Yeah. So what's the difference if I'm paying for a service?
Yeah.
If someone's giving it to me free, okay, that's another story.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did do.
But anyways, your other question was about what do I think about content again?
Oh, yes. Okay, so the question was, I'm just catching up on these comments. Renee loves Jim Cotta.
Jim Cotta is awesome.
Those who are interested in knowing that.
Pommel horse for Kung Fu, baby.
I got Robert Small here. Okay, so the question was, okay, here's the question. It's from Kurt. So besides the oversaturation of the Zoom market, what are your thoughts on the amount of online content post-COVID? That's also, man, like I can tell you that right now from FMA discussion, I'm getting like 20 entries a day and half the stuff is not even FMA related. I've declined more posts than ever, hit the decline button by accident a few times. I'm just getting flooded with stuff coming in, and it's like I made a post too. If it's not FMA related, please don't, and it doesn't freaking matter, man. These people just don't listen. So that was a question. Sorry, I digress there.
I'm lost.
Oh,
is there too much? Is there too much post content?
No, his question. All right, I'll repeat the question. Yeah, his question is: besides oversaturation of the Zoom market, what are your thoughts on the amount of online content post-COVID? And I just brought an example: the flooding of it.
All right. So I've got a couple thoughts on that.
Okay.
So personally, as a whole, I'm going to use modern Arnis. So the IMAF has always been, the International Modern Arnis Federation has always been very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really put much up on, and it becomes an issue, and I think that's why one of the reasons why their organization has shrunk so much.
Okay.
There's been a push lately of there's like 3 schools in that group that have been putting out content as of late, and I think that's a good thing because the more modern Ernie's presence out there, the more chances someone will do modern Ernie's.
Okay.
So my issues are I wish they'd put a little more production value into things because that's with all the quantity of content that's out there, I prefer that the modern Ernie's people step up and put a level of production, better light, better sound, maybe some graphics in there. There's a lot of, TikTok alone has stuff built into it and Instagram. There's so much that they could do. I really appreciate the fact that they're putting the effort in and doing it now. So I think that's a good thing now, but I'm not happy with that. You know me, I'm never happy. I want them to level up because the better that any modern Ernie's does, the better that all of modern Ernie's will do. And the same thing goes for Filipino martial arts. The only problem is, in the case of FMA, and we talk about the content, because I'm part of another FMA group out there for a Facebook group, and they made me a moderator.
What is that group? That's right. What is that group?
Try something or another. Hold on.
Yes.
I think Ty's in there too.
He is in there, and I was disappointed that you did not invite me. Kind of been hurt by that. So,
do you really want to? Let's Tribute. Do you really want to be part of that?
No, I don't need to be part of another group.
Yeah, so it's Tribute FMA.
Just kidding.
Eskrima, Arnis Kali, Filipino martial arts. It's the group I'm in. Their stuff, if it's horrendous, I just delete it.
Isn't that the group that has like 20 moderators for 500 people?
Well, I have no clue. All I know is like, hey, how did I become a moderator? Oh, we like your stuff, so we just made you a mod.
I think it's
they've got 7,700 members.
700 members?
7,700. 7,700.
Size. Okay, that's good size.
So, so I'll go in there and see stuff, and I'll delete. I mean, when people submit stuff, I'll go in and I will just delete things that are horrendous. You can tell stuff that I didn't. You can tell the stuff that I had nothing to do with. If it's something questionable, then I didn't see it.
Okay. I forgot about that group. Wow.
Or I just leave it there. I get a notification. I look at it. I'm like, no, I'm not approving that.
I tell you, it's been like a part-time job in FMA discussion lately with content coming in. I wake up in the morning, boom, 20 people. And then I'll put like half, so there's not like 20, and then there's multiples by some people. And it's just like, it's getting out of hand. But besides that, so PJ Ty, same question for you.
You know that's PG Ty for Punan Guru, not Jay.
I said PG.
It sounded like PJ.
I said PG.
Okay, if you say so.
Anyway,
Datu's getting comfy here.
So,
PJ.
So the trying to get people's content organized if you're in one of those groups is pretty much a challenge. Even if your rules and expectations are very, very clear, right? You still have to unfortunately police it. There are spammers. There are people posting lots of inappropriate things, and then stuff that's maybe it's about I don't know, a totally different martial art, or maybe something art, or maybe it's just anyway, it's a pain in the butt. But as far as the content goes, I think there's a lot out there. I think because it was a avalanche that had to happen, where everybody dove in because that was what it took. I think while that jump started a lot of people and had to do some good things, I think it also ended up people didn't have time to grow into that. So you have a lot of stuff out there that is probably less well done than they could have done it. And then they didn't ever go back and try to make that better. I mean, heck, my first couple of videos I have up there, we're not good production quality. I think the material's great. were not good production quality, but I did get better. And I revisited some of those things in later episodes, but I think that I'm not sure that some people did that sort of evolution, and I wish they would do that, or maybe have the market take care of itself either way.
Yeah. So, okay, hopefully that answered. Okay. Renee's apologizing. He's going to stop sending vids. That'll help.
Only the full frontal one, Renee.
And you'll be a low pajama Pantukan man. Thank you. And all right. So, okay. We're out of COVID.
After COVID now. Okay.
What's regressed? Dr. Tim, what's got worse, regressed, or maybe was good, but now it's taking a negative turn?
Well, I'm on Tribu FMA right now watching someone doing a solo thing once again. I'm like, when there's no need.
Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you send me an invite to that group?
No.
Thank you.
I'm working on it as we speak.
Faithfully.
But
I'm going to invite Renee.
You've got an invite now, so.
Thank you.
But I look at a post that's been put up just a day ago, and I was like, okay, once again, solo stuff. Why? And they're just, the oversaturation continues. I also think, so I think if we look as a societal thing, and FMA is part of the society, is that people have gotten, their social interaction has changed completely. I think we've regressed. I see this in the schools we're talking about a lot. The kids are not interacting properly. They're dealing with stuff, reacting completely. I'm like, people resorting to violence for stupid shit, just, that wouldn't have done that in the past. And I've noticed an aggressiveness of driving, interaction in like shopping areas and like grocery stores, and people are just it's funny, before it was all 6 feet away. Now it's all like, get the hell out of my way. And I'm like that. I don't like I go in the store, Janice and I go shopping, and there's people everywhere. I'm like, will you just get out of my way? But I don't say that. That's my internal voice. But you got people just getting very aggressive and rude out there. And I see it as people lately. I mean, okay, what's the trend? Okay. Let's do the pronoun thing. I have no stake in the game. I make it real simple. Tell me. Well, actually, no. I've had the pronoun thing for decades.
Okay.
Martial artists have been dealing with this longer than this new trend, and that's because we go into multiple martial art venues, and people address us by the wrong title. Isn't that the same thing? It's the martial pronoun. I mean, how many times you've been addressed as sensei?
Never, and hopefully
really?
not.
I've been addressed as sensei, sabanen, all these things, because I meet people from other styles, and they try to show me respect.
Gotcha.
And they don't know our language, and I've seen people no, that's master this, that's grandmaster that. I'm like, kiss my ass. The person said sensei or man or whatever, sabanem or sifu or whatever. They're trying to show you respect. And instead of saying, hey, I appreciate that, actually, I prefer this title, they go off half-cocked. And really, that's like the pronoun issue these days. And it's like, hey, I'm not a mind reader. One, you should be sitting there saying, I'm trying to show you respect by calling you by this title. And if you prefer to be addressed another way, just tell me how you want to be addressed. I mean, I really don't care how you want to be addressed. I've got no skin in the game. Dean, you've heard me a whole bunch of times, Mr. or Master. These are the two, because in our term, I mean, if you identify as a sabanen, okay, that's all right. I don't care if you that you identify yourself as a Korean martial artist, by all means. But you walk in the door, hey, everybody, this is Guru or Master, or this is Mr. Dean Franco, even though you identify as a Korean stylist. So,
okay. We're having discussion on the comments. Moderation. This can be a slippery slope of gatekeeping in the flavor production quality. Good production can often hide behind this shiny video cuts, but still have a less than quality demonstration of skill. Yeah, and then we got Lewis Bowers, oversaturation. Just bear with me, guys. I'm just catching up here. The problem, of my opinion, is the flood of look at me. Yeah, that's what's happening in FMS. Yeah, definitely look at me. Nothing contributes to increasing knowledge base. Good point. Yeah, it'd be nice to have some more posts that were more on the educational, historic, as opposed to look at me. I can relate. I can appreciate that. You never know what's below or not below on the screen of these video sessions. And then Renee, way too many instructors with regurgitated ideas with no concept of application. Renee, well articulated, I might add. Let me just, I think I'm caught up, guys. DA2 is right. DA2, D2. Any sense of not sinful? Mike Raymond, I just call everyone by their name. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Seth. I can't stand titles behind my name. If they say it, I just be polite. I don't overcorrect. I just go with it. But I much prefer, Dean. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
like when I'm in Europe, I go by what the standard is in the area. So when I go to Sweden, everyone calls all their teachers by their first name.
Yeah.
And but the thing, and there's that level of respect. But here, okay, like I used to, so in the school, you're Mr. or Miss. That's your default, because if someone rolls in the door and they go by Sensei, Sabin, or whatever, and you called them Mr. or Miss or Mrs., and they got upset because it wasn't that time, that's when I hop in. I'm going, shut up. They're trying to show you respect. In public, they would do this. I'm teaching them a good habit. These are it's called manners. But like when I'm at an event, you know, if that's the tradition to use the term, it's Datu Tim. But you've both been at the same event that I've been at. I stand up with a room full like Terry Dow's. I'll stand up. I'll go, hey, my name is Tim Hartman. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I teach Filipino martial arts. Boom, done. Yeah. I don't throw any titles and stuff out there. But now in some areas, I know that their culture is that rich. And I do. Here's the other thing, dude. Here's the problem with using your first name all the time. Some cultures have got it dialed in and others don't. And some people become too friendly when a line is not drawn. Like in my school, I'm their teacher. End of story. You know, and I got during the day, I mean, most of the guys call me Datu. I don't worry about that. I don't force that. It's usually Mr. Here's my term. But like the day class is all adults. I don't sweat that. I mean, some guys have called me, hey, Tim, what are you doing later? Oh, I'm doing this, that, and the other. But the thing here is so my first school I started in, the instructor would go out to strip bars and invite some of the guys, and a bunch of people left because they got too familiar and they didn't feel that barrier. They felt it was like friendship, and they didn't want friendship. They wanted a teacher.
Right. I can appreciate that where they take advantage or disadvantage. What do you how about you, PGI? What do you say? What say you?
I got a couple thoughts there. So one is back along the lines of all of the video offerings that are look at me. I get everybody loves a good hook, but if you're trying to get information out there and you're trying to help people, a hook and look at me and a deminar in non-contact form is not going to do anybody any good. And furthermore, it only gets you so far. So I actually don't do demo videos. I only do teaching videos, and they're teaching speed with teaching details, with teaching content and teaching emphases. And if people don't like that, then they can go watch one of these other, look at me, performance things all they want. But I feel like the material, the meat, is in the work, not in the show. So anyway, that's one thing. But the other thing is, as far as the what's happened afterwards, I think during COVID there was a large sense of what I call sort of trench bonding, right? Everybody's in this together. We're all trying to make it through this, and I think that's in a lot of circumstances gone. and I think people are getting nasty again. And since they're out now in the physical or in the virtual realm, they're using that medium for, I would say, less than stellar purposes, along with the rest of what they're doing. And I see that with people, the way they cover material, the way they talk about things, it's a little bit nasty, and not in terms of material and facts, but in terms of almost rewriting things. It's really weird. But anyway, so that lack of in the trenches together and trying to overcome this is sort of starkly in contrast with how we were during COVID and trying to make it through all this. And I think that's unfortunate, because usually in the services and people that do law enforcement, things like that, and where there's real danger, trench bonding tends to be for life. And I think we've lost sight of, hey, for a second there we're all humans together, and you could still remember that from day to day.
Yeah. You still can. What I know as far as regression, Datu touched upon it. Like, I'm seeing improvement now because I think people have finally concluded, like, hey, COVID's done. We can start getting together. Like in the recent months, I'm definitely seeing more of that. Whereas when we were out of COVID initially, I wasn't seeing that. And so I don't know if it's finally people coming to that conclusion. They just needed more time, which could very well be the case. I'm not sure. But there seemed to be like a gap of time where people were reluctant to do that. So it's nice to see folks start, getting together, doing events and that. So I hope that continues. And hope we kind of shy away from, like Datu said, away from the Zoom, so to speak. But I think it's still neat if folks want to do something together online because they maybe didn't get a chance to work together for whatever reason, and there's some harmony between the two, and that I think that's still wonderful. But I would definitely like to see the shift go more towards meeting in person. So hopefully that initial regression is going to end, and this will continue for folks to get together more often than not. Now that things appear to be behind us. By the way, Tim's lighting is great today. All right, Renee just wanted to. Okay.
Hey, I was having microphone issues. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Ty, this has a preset, so your mic actually doesn't. It sounds a little tinny. I wonder if it put a different microphone in use because it didn't put my Brio or my Rode.
No, mine's when I got back on, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk one thing. Ty, and someone loved your Deminar video comment. He said they was going to use that.
Oh yes.
Here's the thing. I want to say the good thing about that. The good thing about that is the Deminars. Yeah. If we're looking for motivation for execution, those are phenomenal. Okay, who's very good? I'm not a fan of his teaching.
Who's that?
But he's great. He's great at demonstrating. Ray, not Ray. Doug Marcado. His seminars are very high speed. I think very high speed.
Yeah, he packs them in, huh?
Well, he's got Forge and Fires, so but he does very good job demonstrating the skill set. And I don't like the structure of his seminars because I think he teaches above the level of the people in the room. To me,
some of the stuff he's showing, I could definitely see that.
He's showing his skill set, but here's the thing that Remy had that a lot of other people didn't. Remy would say, here's the base move, and then go off on this tangent showing all these cool things you could do at high speeds, and then he'd go back, but I want you to do this. But the thing is, this is the foundation, and this is what you can do with it when you get better. So for Ty and I, as an example, we already had the foundation, so we were always doing the extra stuff.
Does Doug do that? Does he show a base? Does he show a base move? I don't know.
No. Doug doesn't do that much. Doug is very talented.
Seems to be.
And he's very good at demonstrating. And we've always enjoyed his floor presence.
Yeah.
But I think he's teaching about people's skill set. Now,
yeah, the ones I've known, and I don't want to be, I want to be fair to him because I'm.
Yeah, no. And listen, he's an entertainer, and I think that's what he's doing. He's entertaining people.
Yeah, I've only seen clips. I've never been to a seminar or seen a seminar in its entirety. Even online. But what he's doing, the clips I have seen, it's pretty high end stuff that if beginners were there, there's no way they're digesting that.
And listen, and I'm not comparing him to, but I'm comparing the situation. Was it Doug's that are really training for himself? Seth,
that's Mike Raymond's son.
Doug's seminars are really training for him. You mean Doug's training for Doug? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
But Seth will clarify.
But listen, it's akin to going to an Asano seminar.
Yeah, I mean, like he's rattling stuff, and if you're not following the tour or you're not in the instructor program, you're going to be lost.
Right, and that's it. I mean, and
yeah, he clarified that.
There should be a disclaimer on going to those seminars.
Like, hey, if you don't have such and such experience, that's a great point, really.
And I'm not, and I don't blame that on Guru Dan. I blame that on the host.
You'll teach above someone's level. At some, I guess whether it's extreme or not.
I think, listen, here's what I think Doug does. And I don't blame him. He's not trying to spread a system. He's trying to promote his brand. And he does a phenomenal job. And he sells T-shirts, knives, this, that, and the other thing. He's creating the Doug Marcaida fan club. He is not producing... I mean, he says Marcaida Kali. It's not going to be global. It's not going to be anything. I mean, but Doug Marcaida as a brand is global.
Sure.
And he sells shirts. He gets endorsement deals. He does this. I do not fault him for making a living doing his martial arts. But, but this thing is some places out there, like, when you watch him do his stuff, he can be very inspirational.
Sure. Yeah. Watching him.
The next gen guy. So you need people to be able to perform at that level to show, hey, this is what you could do. If
that's your thing. Like, if you want to be that show, if that's your thing, absolutely.
Ambassador, like my guy, Ryan, he'll never be the head instructor. Tim's 100%. See, there you go. One person said I was right. There we go.
More people say that.
But the thing is, I got my guy Ryan. He's doing movies, and
dogs.
Actually, I won't tell you the next project you might be in. We'll wait to see what happens. But the thing here is this: he is going to be in front of the camera, which is going to be a great ambassador for Filipino martial arts when he's doing things. He's been in Walking Dead. He's been in Stranger Things. He was William Dafoe's body double in the last Spider-Man movie.
Who?
Ryan Monolopoulos, one of my black belts. I was just talking to him today. This guy, he's got a world titles through, I've helped him coach to become a world title martial artist. He's done all these things, and he's doing stunts and stuff like that. And OCC, he created on-camera combatives based off of Price Sardines. Okay. He's doing things. He's doing all this stuff, and it helps us promote our art. And we need ambassadors like him. We need ambassadors like Doug. We need all those guys that can do the high speeds, flashy stuff that look good doing it. And then there's another group that can actually teach people to do it. So, I mean, and it's just, I know that actually probably didn't come out the way I intended. But people listen.
People are definitely getting what you're saying, though, for sure.
Yeah, I'm no longer worried about competing. I'm always want to make sure that my technique is where it's supposed to be to demonstrate properly, but I'm not worrying about being the top guy in the room anymore when it comes to execution and demonstration because I'm turning 60 shortly. But the thing here is I make sure when it comes to teaching skills, I'm a freaking hard act to follow.
Yes.
I am not. I will put my skill set up against anybody.
And you command the floor well too. So.
And I put the effort to get good at that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And people give me the proper accolades for that. And when people do the skill set things like Doug does for being an ambassador, attracting people to Filipino martial arts, then we need to give him the proper accolades.
Yeah,
as well.
which I think you're doing. Yeah.
But anyways, rewriting history. That's my other scribble. See, that's my scribble.
There you go.
Yes, I think a couple things happened, and people were locked down, and a bunch of people left martial arts.
Left martial arts.
Only a third of all schools closed
Well,
down.
yeah. Oh, by virtue of the closing. Oh, gotcha.
Well, let's think about this. If you are a martial artist, a Filipino martial artist, and you are training with somebody, I just got an email I was trying to read, but it's not working for me. Okay, so you're a Filipino martial artist. You are, where do you usually train out of? If you're in a school, it's somebody else's school, right?
Correct. Generally speaking.
So if a third of all schools close down, how did that hit the Filipino martial art industry?
I think it was mostly, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was heavy, obviously, on the grappling-oriented schools and like that, where
Karate schools closed down. It's just people weren't ready.
No, I'm saying who probably took the brunt of it. I'm assuming the real grappling schools. I'm not saying they're just exclusively grappling schools. Hard to change schools. Okay.
Schools closed down, and well, okay, but here's the thing: who would host Filipino martial arts schools? Grappling schools would have been one of them.
Yeah, or traditional schools. True. Yeah.
So they lose their spot.
That's true. Didn't think of that. Absolutely. Yep.
Hold on one second. Okay. So I was talking to Grandmaster Geronimo in Sikaran, and we're doing the Worlds next year, and the international Sikaran tournament will be held there. And we're talking, hey, where are all these people? Oh, we got a whole bunch of people, like Fresno and all this other stuff. Great. What are they doing now? Oh, they haven't restarted. COVID's been down. The shutdown's been down for a couple of years now, and these clubs have not restarted.
And you're talking about over there?
Yeah, on the West Coast.
Well, oh, wow. Okay.
So the lockdown has been, there's no lockdown. But some places, when they closed down, they never came back. So we know about the professional schools that shut down. What about the clubs that were out of rec centers and stuff like that? What about some rec centers that maybe have taken a hit and they closed down? What about churches that closed down? What about all these other industries that closed down?
Those are that were subletting or what have you. Gotcha. Yeah.
Or people didn't want to take the risk of group activities when COVID was slowly but surely coming back. And of course, whoever has the most amount of money has the right of way.
Yes.
So, a lot has shut down because of that. Now, but I see the other, as we talked about, as I wrote down there, as Ty mentioned about rewriting history, with all these people who are gone.
Yeah.
There's no one to hold these people accountable.
When they left,
there's people that make comments.
Yeah.
That rewrite history.
Okay.
And people are gone that would normally hold them accountable.
Gotcha.
So I was talking to Tuhan Bobby Ladra. Have you met Bobby?
No. Matter of fact, I have not met either of them, and hoping one day to do so.
I get along with Bobby. I get along with both brothers. I think Bobby and I are more dialed in with each other, and I see him more often. And the comment he made to me, Tim, the reason why these people hate you. No, why? Because where the bodies are held or buried. Renee, you got to stop that stuff. You got to stop that, Renee. Renee is doing bad things to my phone. Wait a minute. Dean, did you do that?
No.
Renee, you stop it. Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Ty. Remy. All right.
Better
I
take
don't
those
have
shots, Jay. Lots of shots. So, anyways, now that we're done with that, I think a lot of people are talking stuff, and they're assuming that all these people have disappeared. Bobby Lodger would talk about, has posted this a bunch of times. You know, that's why people don't like you, Tim. You know where all the skeletons buried, and you're not afraid to
Yeah,
talk.
I mean, well, that, and you have no reluctancy of relaying the truth or what you perceive to be the truth, and just putting it out there. So, yeah, and some people don't like that, even despite if it's the truth. So, PJ, what do you have? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. You're still. I'm sorry.
Well, what I was going to say is that, people say things, and so when Eskrima Digest was open, that's a long time ago, Dieter made a comment about something in modernese. Oh, yeah. We have a whole bunch of, we get that level of expert in modernese. And I'm like, modernese doesn't have experts. Oh, no, the DAV. But that's modernese. I'm like, no, that's DAV Arnis. That is not Remy's art. We don't use the term expert. And it wasn't meant to attack him, but he put false information out, and I corrected him. Gotcha. It's not to show him up or put him down.
Yeah.
It's just he's wrong. And when I'm wrong, I want people calling shit on me too. But I'm willing to have a dialogue on it. And maybe I got one of my guys called me today. Is it true Remy fled the Philippines because of a general? He got in a stick fight with a general. He beat the guy, but then he was going to kill him afterwards. I'm like, there's a couple stories of Remy that had something similar to that, but he did not stick fight the general. He was bipping off, and somebody did give him a death threat, and he took off because they had an army and he didn't. But and that's another story. He was going to fight Delphine Lopez. Anshan gave him the sign, and he fought his nephew instead. And he goes, Anshan, I got to leave. If I stay here, Delphine has the police force and stuff. I don't. I'll die. If he comes to my area, then he would die. But but that's not leaving the Philippines. So there's a lot of misnomers on things and stuff like that are similar and get mutated. But if I got the story wrong, I'd want someone to correct me.
Yes. PG, what say you?
Well, actually, I had what was we went a lot of places, so
yeah. So jump in. We have gone a lot of places, but jump in wherever you want.
Right. No, I mean, nothing's jumping out at me too much. I don't know what happened with the camera frozen. I might have just frozen. So watch the thing in the back. If that's frozen, then yes, my camera's frozen. Yeah, I don't know.
You should definitely post this one.
What's that?
I didn't know you had pictures with dreadlocks and a mustache. You look just like Bob Marley here.
Didn't see that. Who's that?
It's in your messenger.
Okay. There you go. Nice. Yeah. Well, I've got the two Winchester shirts on, so been watching the Supernatural with my daughter again. But no. So here's the deal. So I think actually I liked Robert Small's comment there. Newbies are way down since COVID, right? So as everybody's trying to get back to their life, I've noticed that's and I think we see that in martial arts a lot. If there's a uptick of free time or a downtick of free time, martial arts will respond really, really fast if the S hits the fan and people have to make adjustments. But if it opens back up again, martial arts is a slow starter, a restarter. And I think, COVID has been another example of that. And it's unfortunate because I think one of the ways to heal from some of these things is to get out there and be active and interact with folks and do activities, right? Physical activity is a great balm, if you will. Anyway, I thought I wanted to bring that forward because that was a really, really good comment, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I mean, like being active for numerous reasons, right?
Yep.
But overall lens FMA going forward. What's your insight?
So what was the first part of that? As
overall lens on FMA going forward in future.
Well, I hope people are doing it and getting what they want out of it and promulgating it however suits them, and people find it interesting to do so, because it really you got to look at it two ways. One, I might want to get my material out there because I think it's the best and I want you to do it exactly my way. But if it's not going to be something that, say, Dean needs, then it's not going to go forward. So it has to meet. And I think one of the good things that we're seeing is this exposure, this even overexposure. Hopefully it gives more opportunity for those meetings to happen so that then the threads can go forward. So in that sense, I think it could look pretty good. I do hope that I came from the era with an internet and things like that, bulletin boards even before that, where Netiquette was the wild, wild west, and people had to learn things the hard way. And you can tell who were the grizzled veterans of that because they have grown up, and who never went through that and never learned those lessons, and they haven't quite done that yet. So I hope that as we go forward in all of this, that people will really bring that best foot forward. And if that's the case, yeah, I think the future could look really, really bright. On the other hand, we're competing with all sorts of virtual games and sitting on your butt watching the screen and not doing anything. My son is sitting there playing video games all day long if he's not doing his homework, which is good. But those are the two things, right? There is no getting out there and actually doing things. And I think we're competing with that. So that's pretty hard. People need to find the joy in movement again. And I you can't make them do that. But once they do, hopefully, it grows like a virus.
I think when I look at the landscape now, if we don't grow now with access to virtual, Zoom, in person, I mean, like, FMA is never going to grow. I mean, like, if it's not going to happen now, and I certainly don't want to be correct or need to be correct, but I just feel like with everything literally at our fingertips and resources, if it doesn't happen now, when's it going to happen? I mean, Datu. So the initial question was future of FMA overall lens. What do you think?
Oh, he's quiet.
Biggest problem today are students. They want instant gratification. Yeah.
I guess it depends on the art. Some are more charged than others. I mean, okay, PTK. Yeah. I think it's fine. It is. Leo Gahe has done a very good job of making sure the art goes forward, because even though people have split and left him, he's okay. He is still a name in Paquita Tertia, but he's no longer relevant. If he was to die tomorrow, the art will continue going as strong as it's going now, 100%. May even going stronger. Because the thing here is, when the head of a system dies, there's a lot of PR publicity. Eyes look to that art. So there's get more exposure than there would have been before. So I can see like PTK is fine. Other arts, like if you look at KI is very controversial, but I don't think they have the numbers. I think that's an art that's going to go by the wayside.
No, I think it'll be, well, yeah. I mean, I think
it'll have a pulse, but barely. It's
Manila will be fine. I mean, there always will be somebody carrying it out in Manila via Diego faction. Now, other factions, I think there's a legitimate argument there. Yeah.
Kombatan, I don't know how much. I mean, Kombatan's fairly big now. I just don't know what each organization has done for the second gens to take over. So we have a bunch of first gens doing stuff. Are they preparing the second gens?
And then everybody though, I mean, I think when I look at the bigger systems,
And what do you consider bigger systems?
Well, I look at the big five, in my opinion: PTK,
Okay.
Ensemble Blend, Dos Paras, Blunted Walk, Modernities. Those are like my big five. Where student volume,
Right.
in there. Now, when I say those big five, I'm talking about like most active arts practitioners say worldwide and all that. However, that doesn't. I don't mean like they're going to survive everything that comes. I just mean that they are the biggest now for students and widespread, and they're most likely to succeed. You know what I mean? Based on status quo.
Mm-hmm. So I think modern has issues because I using that, obviously, whenever I write stuff and I talk about modern Arnis issues, I'm actually talking about all systems, but I'm not going to talk about PTK. I'm not going to talk about KI. I mean, I know all these stuff because I'm a friend with many of them, and they tell me their woes. Like I was, Michael Harone was here, and we were hanging out, and we were talking about all the stuff that was going on in Kempo Karate, and he's like, why do you put all that effort to know this shit? I go, I don't. Well, then how the hell do you know this shit? Because I'm a guest instructor at a lot of Kempo events, and I'm the only guy in the room that doesn't do Kempo, and then they lean on my shoulder telling me all their problems. So the same thing with other systems. I will hear the Komaton, because even when I'm around Komaton people, they still look at me as being modern. When I'm around the Balintawak people, they don't look at me as Balintawak, even though I've been doing it for over 20 years. But I get to hear their problems. I get to hear, but like, I knew all the Korean problems. I knew the Taekwondo problems. Why? Because I'm the only guy that's really, I'm the only dedicated school to Filipino martial arts in Buffalo. There might be some small programs here and there. But the thing here is I've been doing this for over 30 years. They're almost 40 years. And I've interacted in a martial art community as the minority. And I get to hear everyone's problem. And just my whole life has been that way. Because, you got a seminar? Let me come and support it. So I get to hear the stuff. But instead of me talking about their problems, I'll talk about our problems. And people identify with their own system. Like, oh, yeah, we have that same problem too. And the thing here is this. And like this weekend, I had a Balintawak. So Balintawak is a big part of our modern program. And if you would have done modern back in the era that I started, you would have learned Balintawak, whether you realize it or not. I was working on the curriculum. I had the sheets. We were talking about different learning from different teaching aids. We're talking about better progressions. We're moving things around. Ty, we fixed grouping number 2. We got a really good solution to make it so it speaks to us. So we can go through all these different things. And I'm like, and we ended up talking like, who do you think is actually doing this? And I'll guarantee you no other group is doing the stuff that we are to help the next generation of students. And the thing here is, if they're not, then what's going to happen? I see people out there taking shots. They're so busy taking shots at people as opposed to trying to talk. And all they're doing is, they're watering down the system by handing out ranks like there's no tomorrow. They trash talk people and they try to rewrite history. There's all this other stuff going on. And the thing here is people are, and like I said, it happens in all arts. I'm talking personal experience here.
Yeah, sure.
People are all, and this is the problem with the whole woke mindset in general. I'm supposed to respect your choices and your beliefs, but you don't have to respect mine.
Yeah.
There's the hypocrisy. And the thing here is that these people have taken shots at me time and time again. Hey, Danny, I talk about different things. I'm a progressive thinker. I'm, really Modernist Renaissance man, But the thing here is, instead of talking to me about things, they just assume.
Some truth to that.
There is, yes. But they don't tip me. God damn it.
You have to get a GoFundMe, but don't have Renee do it for you because he's yet to even get my money for my blinds. So
there we go. Well, yeah, your blinds. Oh, yeah, well, that's why we're zooming in here. I would have thought he would have gotten at least one more stick for your rack, but with the exchange rate in Canada, you'll owe him money. But anyways, so I think the thing here is that some of these systems, like using modern, like using modern as an example, if people don't get their heads out of their asses and try to promote the next generation, it's going to die with them. And the other problem is there's a few people out there that are trying to control the narrative, but they have no students. They have no nothing. They're not doing anything. But they may host an event and they may write a book and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, if we do not train the next gen, it will die with us.
Yeah, no. And I think that goes across. I just think there's some systems that are in better shape and there's going to be a longevity before that happens. I think there's some systems, though, that, you know, like Lonata, Screama. I mean, there's some systems that are just hanging on by a thread as far as being perpetuated or, you know, who's going to be the heir.
Here's the question. Here is the big question that everyone needs to ask. Yeah. First of all, do you want the art to continue on after you? Some people don't care. And if you don't care, then it's no big deal. Some people, they just go train, they have a good time, they leave. Yeah, you know, the school dries up or something, they just do another activity. Same thing for an art. So if we want our art to move forward, the question is, will your branch continue after you die? That's the first question. Do you want your branch of the tree to continue on? And if the answer is yes, what are you doing to do that?
Yeah, so, what have you instilled? You know, yeah.
So I'm looking right now. I don't think that any of the branches of modern are going to continue past this branch. I think they're all going to die off right after this, with the exception, and it's going to be cocky, of the World Modernist Alliance, because we have 50 schools globally that they're doing our program, and we're training instructors to train other instructors. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to do the work, but we have a hell of a lot better chance than the others.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Brian teaches out of his house. How many is he really going to have that one person to take? But then the thing is, we never know where that one person is going to come from. That person, you know, so I don't want to blow it off completely.
Right. No, I got you.
But Brian teaches out of his home, a handful of people. Dan has got a part-time martial arts school. And he's not teaching the art on the road except for 1 or 2 seminars a year here and there for arties. Writes a whole bunch of books, but who's buying those books? And the books don't teach people. It is a supplementary tool. But at the end of the day, as somebody I know said, producing your own books is no different than just being a blogger. The IMAF, they're like I said, in my opinion, they're on life support. So who's going to continue on? I mean,
I think that goes to every. I mean, like, yeah, like it has to start with individual schools or groups. Like, who's going to carry that on?
So Bruce has got a second gen person doing things. His son.
Yeah, absolutely. He's already.
Now the question is, does he have his next generation? You know, or is he just maintaining his father's students? I'm hoping that he's one of our stars for the future, developing a cadre of people to carry on forward. But outside of our group, that's the only group where I see a second gen that's actually doing something publicly.
Which is good on him, and hopefully more will follow suit. Yeah, absolutely. The preservation of being innovative to propagate FMA concepts for the layman was so this is good. And then we got to wrap up because I got to be out of here in 10 minutes. PG, what do you have to add while I read this question off quietly? What do you have to add, PG?
Oh, to that conversation? It needs to be front and center, right? The art is whatever art you do, that continuation needs to be front and center, right? It's not about you anymore. It's not about your feelings anymore. It's about the art and what you're doing for it. If that's what matters to you. If you're what matters to you, then that's all that it's going to go to. I'll just leave it at that.
No, well said. Okay, here's the question Kurt's asking. What is more important, the preservation of the art being the innovative to propagate FMA concepts of the layman. Who wants to take a crack at it? PG, go ahead.
I think that's probably a personal question for anybody. For me, I prefer, what I fell in love with was what Remy was doing and what he shared, right? So that's what I try to do, and I try to evolve my own way with that in as my base. That is my core. That is my root. In addition to my own little things, but I appreciate the idea of make the art your own. But I think people get twisted about that. Making the art your own, I think there's innovation. And there's, we'll be blunt, there's trashing, right? So making the art your own doesn't mean taking an art that's given to you in good faith and then just changing it willy-nilly in a way that's unrecognizable. Now, I'm not saying anybody's doing that, but there's a spectrum here. If you want to say that making the art your own encompasses anything, I think you're missing the picture, right? There has to be a root of truth. Otherwise, you're not making the art your own, you're just making your own art. There I go with my silly sayings again. But anyway, so to me, that's, I think, really cool. That said, for the idea of the art within your art and making better martial artists, which is what Remy also did, if you're a karate guy and you want to learn some FMA concepts to be a better martial artist, I think that is a great thing as well. But that is not going to preserve the art. That is going to be preserving somebody, their own path getting better, but it's not preserving the art that did that for them. That's my take.
No. Datu?
I think we need all. You need, it's important to innovate. No, it's important to evolve. Okay, we're not redesigning the wheel. We're not, we're making it more efficient. We're taking it to its next logical progression. So the thing I hate about the art within your art people, the art within your art comment, is they say that anything can be part of the art. And it's like, no, modern artists can be part of any art. That's what Remy's point was. But Remy didn't teach a hybrid program. He taught the art. And when it came to certification, people chose to cross in based on their pre-existing skills. So, but I think it's important, if art's going to go forward, we need to have the teachers there. We need to have the fundamentals. And evolution is fine, but does it still stay faithful to the concepts that it's taught? And putting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu doesn't make it right, nor Kung Fu or Krav Maga or whatever. So, that could be a whole other topic, but it is what
that's all. Yeah, that's definitely a whole nother. Once
I'm looking at what Kurt said. It's the duct tape of the martial community, but why can't it be the freaking substance of the martial art?
Why is that? Right now we're already secondary and tertiary programs in schools, right?
How come we had a head start over Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and they surpassed us? Because you know why? Because people have no faith in the art. Because if they did, they dedicate, we'd have academies devoted to it. But it's this mindset, and some systems don't teach any open hand combatives. But I'm sorry, I'm going on now. I'm getting ranty.
No, I get you. But we should not be the duct tape.
I like the next two comments. Emmett's.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. Go ahead.
Emmett's comment. So your question was, hey, does it make it where instructors don't want to produce instructors, or where students don't want to take on becoming an instructor? I think we all struggle. Well, I'm not going to speak for everyone else. I know I struggle with that. There are times I get so freaking tired. So freaking tired of where things end up being that I could go back into being a hermit mode. Right? I could do that, right? I went off and I taught my own students and I worked on my material and I just didn't worry about anybody else. I could do that. I think that would be unfortunate. I think I have something to say, but I think we struggle with that if we care, right? Because there is a bunch of crap we also have to deal with, and at times it can make you tired. I know that others have struggled with the same things. But as far as and then Robert's comment, I love that one. So use what is best for you, right? But pass on everything, because maybe I totally agree with that comment. So the whole material that you trained in, that you were able to extract things that work for you, is because you had that whole material as a base to work from. Why would you deprive subsequent students of that?
Yeah, that might not you like it work, and then the system becomes like this.
Right. It's going to get narrower and narrower.
Yeah, no, totally.
There's a
totally
bunch of things that I teach that it's more for historical context. But then again, sometimes you bump into somebody and they use the same material for something else. Like we saw Dan Medina do one of our disarms that we thought was useless off the line. And then we thought, oh, wow, this is amazing here. We just got to get there a different way.
Yeah, when this has come up before. Yeah, well, some of these arts they have, yeah, I mean, you know,
right,
infomercials, structured events, you know.
Yeah, but we had all these movies and TV shows, and we still do. There's no reason, well, other than the fact that there's a difference between being a complete program versus a standalone program. And being complete in a field of study like fencing or boxing or Balintwalk or whatever, that's not they're not necessarily, or even Sarada and stuff like that. They're not complete systems. They're not a self-sufficient system because there's no hand combatives in there. Can it stand on its own 2 feet, giving the people what they want and need? And if all you're going to do is teach weapon fighting, you're not going to be able to pass.
No, you're yeah. I mean, you're not going to bring it to the finish line. Awesome. Any because we're going on 2 hours, guys. Any closing thoughts, PG?
I got nothing. I'm going to just come up with more saying, so I'll leave.
But comments. This is a good talk. I'm glad we did this. Yeah.
Hey, Todd, you got like 10 minutes afterwards?
Sure, why not?
I'll message you directly.
Okay.
But I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No, thanks, Dean. This is a good exposure. I was wondering how it was going to go because COVID's kind of old news or people are sick of it.
Yeah, maybe
it's been enough time to recover so we can have this conversation.
Yeah. No,
so the moral of the story is start doing in-person events.
Yeah, which is happening.
Baby.
It's happening. I think it will continue to happen. Yeah. But I'll be in touch, obviously, with you guys soon. If I don't talk to you, Datu, obviously have a great trip over there.
So I will be in the Philippines starting. I leave on the 21st next week, Wednesday. I leave for home on March 5th. I will be in primarily Luzon.
Okay.
The main island, popping around. So if anyone wants to get a hold of me, if you're over there, give me a shout out. And I will be at the Bahania. How do you say that? I can't even say it right.
What's that?
The Bayanihan event, which Peachy is doing.
Okay.
Oh, dear Mr. Time. I'm Mr. Time now. Well, that's nice to know.
Hey, PG, are you going to be in August? You going to be in Maryland? Lexus.
I got myself double booked that weekend, so I got to figure out how to reconcile that.
Well, let me know.
I'll be there, Dean.
I was invited. You're going to Lexus?
Oh no! No! I'm there the weekend before teaching with Riddell DeGuck. I thought you were coming down for that one.
I was talking about that weekend.
This is going to be the weekend after. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm there for Lexus for sure.
Are you there for? Oh, you are.
I believe that's not a troublesome weekend.
That's
I screwed up.
10th.
Yeah, I screwed up August, so I got to double check. But
all right, let me know because I'm trying to figure out. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know that you were invited to come to Riddell DeGuck's event the weekend prior.
Yep.
I was not made aware of that.
We talked about that. You want to come down and meet and talk to Riddell.
Oh, I apologize.
I'm pretty sure I told you after although with all the things in my head, who knows what
to be honest, I don't recall, to be honest.
Okay. It doesn't matter, but you know the most important thing? Dean's teaching our event in April, so screw that. Sure. The hell with everybody else.
End of April.
I got Dean in Buffalo, baby.
Yes, and Renee's supposed to come and say hello, and he better.
Okay.
Hey,
get across the border. I'm gonna have him cavity searched at the border.
Yeah, well, that might be necessary.
We'll like that.
But all right, guys. Hey, appreciate you both. Thank you for coming on. Awesome discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Faithfully. Okay. Hey, that wasn't very nice. I got it right here. I could play it.
Not a nice person. All right, I'll catch you later.
Bye.
I'm trying.
All right, folks. I gotta do it, man. I just gotta do it.
And love and the music, man, always what it meant to be. Oh, girl, you stand by me. I'm forever yours.
Here it comes. I couldn't resist. Anyway, that was a beautiful moment. Okay, I'm going to keep pounding this in until people get sick of me hearing this. We need ticket purchases. If we're going to continue to do raffles, I need people to participate. Obviously, we want to send as much money as humanly possible to this masters that are in dire need, sick, whatever the issue may be. Okay, right now, as status quo, myself, Francisco, Chris Anderson, and Emmett are the only ones that bought tickets. So $5 a ticket. All the proceeds definitely going over there. So if you can help out, much appreciated. Okay. And this, of course, is pinned in my discussion, and the comment section lists all the raffled items that folks have donated. Okay, there's a bunch of great stuff in there. A lot of lessons, stick bag, DVD, some online programs, downloads. I hope I'm correct. But at any rate, scroll down, you'll see everything that has been donated. But guys, definitely could use the help. $5 a ticket. All right. So check that out, and I will see you guys next time. Who is next? I always struggle with it. Let me see. Okay. Got Renee. Speaking of Renee and another dog brother coming on, and tactical sparring. That's going to be the subject matter. Rich Parsons will be coming on. We're going to be tackling another theme. Who else? Metric system. I haven't picked anybody for this yet. This has always really interested me. What is your metric system? And what I mean by that is, what do you attribute to what you teach is towards the art or functionality? Is it 70% art, 30% functionality? And regardless of what it is, does your instruction match your percentage of what you're saying your art does? So I thought that's going to be really interesting. I'm going to be looking for folks to do that one. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, this whole metric thing. Like, we're 100% functionality. But then when you look at what they teach and all that, I don't see the 100% addressed to that. On that. So been wanting to do this one for a while. C-Lot, we're going to be covering folks like, the dead patterns. How do you teach them? You know what I mean? And seminar format. How do you get by with that? I thought that'd be kind of interesting to touch on. But yeah, so a lot of theme episodes, which is kind of where I want to go off and hang out. But yeah, and Roland Rivera, he said he was going to come on. Got to touch base with him again, but I'm hoping he, in fact, will come on. And that'll be more bio related. Yeah, so there you go, folks. So next week, we'll be on, not sure who or what theme episode, but I can guarantee you there'll be something. All right. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next time. All right. And that's for the rest of this month. March is going to be, I haven't got to March yet. Yeah. A little scattered lately, to be honest. All right, guys.